UK would be allocated an annual carbon allowance.
Stored electronically, rather like a supermarket loyalty card, points would be deducted every time we buy or use non-renewable energy. For example,
did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand, just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water.
How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So I started off doing a news story, and I can't do the news story like I would typically just do the news story. I just can't. This week is heavy. It's heavy and it's joyful at the same time. This is Holy Week, leading up to the resurrection on Sunday. Myself, my son, we had the honor of telling our story, what brought us to Christ for the church. We recorded that video for the church this week on Tuesday. I was so emotional in that I didn't even know I would be emotional. I didn't know that the Holy Spirit would move in just doing that video. And I'm trying to lift the anxiety that I get sometimes when I see these news stories and I see things that are taking place, and I'm praying that people will see these things, that the veil will be removed from their eyes, that they will see the evilness of people that they think is there to save them, when truly there is only God. I already knew some of this stuff was happening, but how deep it went and is going and is almost there is insane, and it's disturbing and it's evil. We need to build our relationship right now with Christ. We do. We really, really do. Because a day is coming where you're going to have a choice. And the Holy Spirit was just feeding me all of this stuff. So I had to start writing. They want to know how much you're eating and what you're eating, because they want to control every single thing. I would always hear my mom and her sisters and stuff say, gosh, these bills, what next? What, they're going to charge us for air too? And I started saying those things as well. And, jokingly. Well, y'all, it's no joke. It is no joke what they want to do.
The digital identity is not just a passport that you will have on your iPhone in a digital form. It entails just about everything the government would like to know about you. And yesterday in the Dutch media, we saw a perfect example of what it could entail in the near future. We had the CEO of one of the largest Dutch banks say, why don't we start with a personal carbon credit?
Oh.
A carbon wallet, she called it, actually. Yeah. So right in line with the plans that the World Economic Forum people have for us. And she said it in a way that was particularly funny. She said, well, if everyone gets an individual personal carbon credit, why don't we make it so that rich people who, for example, want to go on holiday a little too often can buy personal carbon credit from other people who, for example, can't afford buying plane tickets or eating meat too often. So we can that way swap it out.
Oh, so if Bill Gates or Leonardo DiCaprio's carbon footprint is getting a bit too big, then some peasant living in his hovel up country somewhere can sell his, and he can't afford to go to Saint-Tropez, but he'll be able to sell his carbon allowance to Leonardo DiCaprio so Leonardo can park his yacht in Saint-Tropez for a couple of extra days.
Exactly right. That's it. So what will happen is the rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer, and they're saying it openly as if it's not a controversial thing at all. It's neo-feudalism. That's what it is.
They already charge us for water, right? You got a water bill. Some of us have water bills. If you have a home, you have a water bill. You have your property taxes. You have all these different things they're already charging us for. What more do you want from us? Okay? They want everything from you. And if you think this is a joke, this is not. I will show you out of their mouth the WEF, World Economic Forum, but some people say it stands for something else. They want it all. They already have everything, and they want more. It's not enough. It's never enough. It goes back to that sermon that I shared with you guys. More, more, more. They want it all. I told you we are about to be living in the Hunger Games. I've been telling you this for a couple of years now, the analogy of the Hunger Games. It's not the government that is going to be running everything. It's going to be these elites that are running everything. The things that are being planned in secret are now out in the open. I mean, it's everywhere. You just go on X, pull up WEF. Oh, they are proudly talking about it. They have replaced their president, their leader, Charles Schwab. You know Schwab.
History is truly at a turning point. We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen. However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems and supply chains will be deeply affected.
They replaced him because of things that he said that people were not comfortable with, but their belief is still the same. And they replaced him with this Nestle guy.
Fundamental daily needs. About 50 to 100 liters per day. But not to fill a pool or wash a car. There is a difference. We must transform the way we think about water. Water scarcity is the greatest challenge we face today. And we need to start recognizing water as a precious resource. Therefore, water should be better managed, should be better valued, and has to be better preserved. If we give water value, there will be an incentive to invest in looking after our supply. Everyone.
I used to work for Nestle, CEO there, who's also been accused of a lot of things, and what Nestle does there with cells and stuff from, never mind, in the food. So we won't get into that. That's for another day, maybe, or maybe not. We all know that the food is an issue, but they want to control that as well. So the things that they have planned are no longer a secret. They don't want it to be a secret. They want you to know what's going on. They want to ease you into it. And they're going to use words like sustainability and make life easier, comfortable. You can be the true hero of the world if you consume less. Mind you, they're consuming more. They're getting on jets. They're flying. They're all that carbon. We ain't doing it all. We ain't flying every single place, every single day, doing God knows what. But they want to limit us. So when what they have planned for us all happens, many will question God. Many will take the mark out of not having basic needs like shelter, food, water, and yes, even air. They're trying to figure that one out. Air. They're trying to figure that one out. And they almost got it figured out. They came up with something somebody threw out there at the meeting. Well, what about a carbon card?
Loyalty card points would be deducted every time we buy or use non-renewable energy. For example, using electricity to power appliances in the home.
To meet this reduction target, we would need to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide we release into the atmosphere by about 40% by 2030. Such a fast change would require radical solutions. Not that kind of solution. Today, 40% of carbon emissions are produced from the use of energy in the home and personal transportation, so reducing emissions by households is immensely important. How could this be achieved? One innovative solution is personal carbon trading, or PCT. Under a PCT policy, governments would set a personal and equal cap on emissions that would reduce gradually over time. Each individual would then receive the same yearly carbon allowance. People with low carbon lifestyles would use up their accounts slowly, whereas people with high energy and carbon lifestyles would find their carbon account empties more quickly. Energy consumption would become more expensive once their allowance runs out. People who don't use up their allowance would be able to sell the remainder in the personal carbon market. This could benefit less well-off or greener people who generally consume less energy, and encourage people with more options to reduce their carbon footprint. For example, they could insulate their homes better or switch to more energy-efficient appliances and transportation. Dr. Yael Parag from IDC Herzliya and Dr. Tina Fawcett from Oxford University have been researching PCT. What would PCT look like in reality? How could PCT be both fair and effective? Would the public and politicians accept PCT? Parag and Fawcett argue that PCT would be effective, as it taps into three powerful behavioral drivers: Economic. A carbon-intensive lifestyle would be more expensive. Psychological. Raising carbon awareness would motivate people to change their energy use habits and to prefer a lower carbon lifestyle. Social. The fact that everyone would have an equal allowance would set a new social norm around a shared effort to reduce carbon emissions and help limit climate change. Researchers in several countries are already looking into this radical idea. Dr. Parag and Dr. Fawcett are continuing to develop it. They're defining a research agenda and exploring how PCT, together with other policies, could help us become a low-carbon society.
Later in 2018, Doconomy, a Swedish fintech, took on the challenge and launched Do, a mobile banking service for everyday climate action. The Do app is connected to a credit card that enables users to track and measure their carbon footprint from each purchase and to compensate for its impact day by day.
So this goes back to what Elon Musk was saying about, and not just Elon Musk, other people too, with this, were saying, you'll be happy and own nothing. You may purchase it, but you don't own it. We have the right to come and take it.
Of the world, we can now manage demand and have the right use at the right time, not just conserve, not just use less, but instead the state took a very aggressive action to send out an emergency text message to all of the California cell phones, and instantaneously 2,500 megawatts came off the system. We watched the load curve drop with a straight line, which told me and reaffirmed a hypothesis that I have, that demand management with modern technology can be automated. We shouldn't have to send a text message. It worked.
But you basically said, guys, switch off your aircon.
Yeah,
stop boiling a kettle.
It was an emergency
no more
message
tea.
that said, yes, please reduce your usage.
Right.
Californians responded because they're good citizens. But what it says is that could be automated with smart devices, Wi-Fi communicating devices, and electric vehicles. As a power resource, bi-directional power resource back to the grid would be even an additional asset that was what I would refer to as anyways economics. People have already purchased the electric vehicle. It's an investment anyways. Get its full value by putting its power back to the grid. And all of that can be automated. Technology can enable that. This is a technology that has never been available in all of our years of delivering energy and electricity in particular to the people of the world. We can now manage demand and have the right use at the right time, not just conserve, not just use less, but instead smooth out the demand curve and have distributed variable resources that can deliver. It will happen, and I'm very optimistic.
And I told y'all the other day, it was a plan to see if we would fall in line, if we would do what they say. And when they saw that a lot of us did, millions did, then, oh, okay, now we're going to up the ante. We really got to get them all vaccinated.
And did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. You know, climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably?
That's why they're emphasizing water so much. The water is how they plan to vaccinate people that know this ain't the right thing. Digital ID, Neuralink, these data center, AI data centers, all of that is the same. It is under one umbrella to usher in the beast system that they will control. So don't think it's the government. They just have the government in their pockets.
The World Economic Forum calls them smart cities, which seems great. Progressive urban designers, like the UK headquartered ARUP group, they have their own section on the WEF website. They're gaming what smart cities might look like. It's kind of exciting. Well, what would life be like in these cities? Well, here you go. Their plan for 2030, your family will eat 0 amounts of meat and 0 amounts of dairy. Each person will be restricted to 2,500 calories a day. What? Each family member will only receive 3 new items of clothing per year. This is on the World Economic site. There will be 0 privately owned vehicles. This article on the website actually quotes Klaus Schwab and his references in the fourth industrial revolution. They talk about utilizing technologies like 5G, quantum computing, artificial intelligence for, quote, reshaping the built environment. I got to tell you, this is the scariest stuff I have ever written. I mean, Utopians in 1984, that stuff couldn't be done 20 years ago. This is George Orwell on steroids, and it all can be done and is being done.
People get paid off all the time. That's why I say they sell their souls, the things that go over your head when you're not paying attention.
Another major part of the World Economic Forum's Agenda 2030 is the rollout of smart cities. They're being built right now under a global network of mayors called the C40 cities. They call them 15-minute cities, but in reality, they are a digital fence. If you look at Oxford in the United Kingdom, they already started, they had the trial. They use surveillance cameras to track your car, and if you drive between zones without a permit, you will get hit with a 70-pound fine every single time. Eventually, you will only be allowed to drive electric vehicles, and they will start charging a fine if you have gas-powered vehicles. And eventually you won't be allowed to drive your gas-powered vehicles. It's restricted movement, and it's exactly what's being drafted for us. It's also not just how you move, it's also what you eat. The C40 Good Food Plan sets a target to cut your meat consumption to an occasional treat, 1 burger a week by 2030. They're already swapping out beef for plant-based meals in city-run schools and hospitals to hit World Economic Forum targets. We almost had it in Calgary. Mayor Gondik's push for blanket rezoning was a very first step for a smart city, and now she is the VP of a global energy partnership pushing these models. And don't think that Edmonton is sitting this out either, because their mayor literally campaigned on a policy to make Edmonton a 15-minute city where they would wear tech and data repositories to track your health and even your loneliness. They've already carved the city into 15 districts and are pushing the same blanket rezoning that we saw here in Calgary. The network is complete from the City Hall to Prime Minister's office. And of course, let's not forget about Naheed Nenshi, who will be running for premier in the next provincial election against Danielle Smith. Let's take a look at his record. Nenshi was handpicked by the World Economic Forum and named a young global leader in 2011. He is a huge smart city supporter and a supporter of the World Economic Forum. If the NDP gets in with Nenshi, the gates to the 2030 globalist agenda are wide open. But Danielle Smith has been building a firewall. On her very first day in office, she publicly canceled the health deal with the World Economic Forum, calling their influence distasteful. She's been stopping them since day one. She even said billionaires shouldn't be running the world. And in my opinion, she's making moves to ensure that the feds cannot use our own police against us. The gun buyback, she refused to enforce the federal seizures. She's standing against Bill C-63, refusing to let Ottawa monitor our speech, and she's doing the same thing with Bill C-9. She's working to implement our own police force so Ottawa can't pull those strings. And let's be honest, we've seen a lot of corruption come out of the RCMP lately, so I can't help but think that this is one of the main reasons that she's doing this. She is protecting your right to defend your property and your family in an own-nothing world. She also passed a law blocking our cities from...
Thank y'all for listening, for sticking in there. If you stay to the end, definitely put a purple heart in there, put some prayer hands in there, because we are all going to need prayer before this is all said and done. But we all know how the story ends, okay? God does win in the end. He really does. But we are going to go through some things. So stay prayed up, pray over your family, continue to do whatever you're doing to help your family during these tough times that are coming, that are not just coming by accident, but they are definitely intentional, what is happening. And these things that are happening, although they could be avoidable, we are going to have to go through them, because I don't see the train stopping at all. Jesus said he will never leave you and he will never forsake you. So hold true to those words and know that God will see you through this storm. And this is a storm that we are about to go in, a storm made by man. Pray, plan, prepare, prep, whatever you want to call it. Do those 3 P's and you will be just fine. If you don't have enough in your home, guess what? God will triple, double that, okay? 10 times over. Just stay prayed up and believing and trusting in him, not man. I love you, but God loves you more. He created only one you. Be the very best you that you could be. And when you are, go out and spread God's love. Remember to hit that like. It helps this video get out to more people. If you can hit that hype button, it helps the video get out to more people. Share the video out on your social media. And y'all get in the comments. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are. But be respectful in the comments, okay? And I'll see you in the comments. Peace out. Love you.
Here's to the good days. Here's to the sorrows.
this is a mistake. I know about tomorrow.